Om. In this session, we will explore practical tools to help with depression. Yoga techniques which help us to counterbalance the intensity of depressive episodes. It happens that we get onto a low. Somehow things go wrong and the roller coaster takes us down into the abyss. We get sucked into a hole, and we actually have two separate videos where I share some of the general reflections, how to deal with such a challenging period in our life, how to cultivate gratitude and trust, how to bring more clarity and firmness into our responsibility so that we don't allow ourselves to get lost. That we catch the depressive wave already in the moment that it arises. Catching it right in the beginning is, in a way, our main possibility to not get sucked in deeper. Today, we're going to look more into hands-on, practical yoga techniques that you can cultivate during more smooth times, or even when you're feeling high in a manic period. And then they will be useful for you also when things are getting more tough and some sadness, heaviness, or even a depressive episode is arising. So the key is to cultivate good habits, to get used to these beneficial techniques already in the good times. And then they're more easily accessible when it gets tough. And maybe they might even help that it gets tough less frequently, or that we not so easily get drawn and sucked down into the shadow, into the darkness of depression. So let's look at some hands-on techniques. We will, in this context, also look at the energetic charge. And for that, we will also utilize the 7 chakra system as it is in the modern yogic New Age time popularized, assigning in this modern interpretation also psychological attributes onto the chakras, which in itself is not really a classical Indian thing, but we can anyhow utilize it in combination with this element system to make practical use of the chakra system for today in this context of the counterbalancing depression. So let's take actually first a look at the root chakra, Muladhara chakra. It is common in some systems to install the earth element with the root chakra. So an association between this grounding, stable attribute of the earth element is frequently created with the root chakra. Muladhara, root support, is the literal translation for this chakra, located in the perineum pelvic floor area. And what it is related to in our context here is that we can have a lack of grounding. We can be not really connected to a stable foundation, and therefore we can have certain fear, existential concerns about our survival. Is it really sustainable? Will I have enough food, shelter, etc.? And out of a lack of that can arise some sadness, frustration, heaviness out of a certain fear-based attitude of defensiveness, lacking this root support on a hands-on, tangible survival level. And then I can feel kind of like depleted. My battery can be empty. I feel disconnected from this vital charge, which is also related to the root chakra. And then I get some existential fear years and then I feel down and I'm just not making it in life and I worry and I go deeper into the story. And so what can help with that is to charge the root chakra. How do we activate Muladhara chakra? Frequently in the forward bends. There is a strong curvature in the pelvic area in a forward fold, and therefore there's a triggering, a charging of Muladhara chakra in the pelvic area, perineum, pelvic floor. So forward folds, both standing forward folds and seated forward folds, activate the root chakra. We can build our vitality, charge our battery, and be more vital, and in a way get out of this laziness, heaviness, this stagnation of heavy energy in the root chakra. We mobilize that by flushing the energy through the root chakra. So standing forward bend, sitting forward bend would be related techniques, but also daily life applications like walking barefooted on the earth, connecting in this literal way to the roots, Mother Nature, and this direct connection to the earth element can be revitalizing, recharging ourselves. Moving from the first chakra to the second chakra, Svadhisthana is related in the pubic bone area, also known as the sacral chakra, due to the sacral area of the lower spine. So here we can associate in some systems the water element. And from an emotional charge, we speak here about these flowing fluidic attributes, can be related also to socializing, social reputation, and as well to sexual energy, also due to the localizing in the pelvic area. So what we can see in the context of depression is that we can have frequently a certain overcharge due to stagnation in the pubic area. In Svadhisthana chakra, we can have a certain stagnation of the energy, not enough movement, and out of that a certain frustration and confusion. So that is one of the central attributes which we can associate in this modern psychology of the chakras. We can associate confusion to Svadhisthana chakra, and this kind of feeling lost, being free floating in the water element, literally, and then drowning in some worlds, getting hung up in some vortex and being sucked into this downward spiral, drowning in our overcharged emotions, lacking the clarity, the lucidity, having a certain kind of dazed and confused state due to stagnation and an overcharge in Svadhisthana chakra. So the key here is not so much to charge Svadhisthana chakra even more, but to actually move the energies, flush it through by activating it. And the main direction that we work with energy in the yogic context is to bring the energy upwards. So to get out of this heavy, loaded, overcharged and confused energy in Svadhisthana chakra, we rise up the energies. This process is called sublimation, and that helps us against this confusion. And this confusion is in many cases related to this depressive attitude of just being lost and then getting sucked downward as described. So instead of going down with these heavy watery energies, we bring it up. We rise up the energies. We sublimate it up along the spine towards the higher energy centers. So this process can be supported, for example, by and via inversions, immersing yourself into inversions, putting the body upside down. The inverted posture is very famous in the yoga asana style of hatha yoga, where we have various ways of putting the body into this position where the head, throat are below the navel. So it starts with soft inversions. Even things like standing forward bend already has the head below, but stronger are even where we, in the opposite way, bring the legs above the head. So that would be in a basic simple form, the wind release pose, Pavana Muktasana, lying on your back and bringing the knees towards the chest. Pavana Muktasana, wind release pose, or the liberating pose for the wind. And we have the legs up and therefore some flow of fluids, blood and lymph towards the higher chakras. More obvious, all of this gets in proper inversions like the shoulder stand, Sarvangasana. The posture of all limbs is the literal translation of this candle pose, where we really put the body upside down, and as a result we have not only lymph and blood coming out of the legs and pelvic area flowing up along the spine towards neck and head, but we also have the energies rising up along the spine. And you remember, this is where we were coming from, bringing this stagnant, overcharged energy from Svadhisthana chakra upward towards the higher chakras. So shoulder stand, or even a half variation of such a candle pose, or even legs up the wall, a simple basic inversion which most people can do, can be so beneficial. Additionally, if it is in your practice, you could go further towards the headstand, Shirshasana, the king of poses, and other arm balances, handstands, etc., where we put the body upside down and charge the higher chakras, get that stagnant energy out of the watery, confused Svadhisthana chakra. The third chakra we look at is Manipura chakra. So next in line is the navel chakra, literally translates as city of gems, gem place, Manipura. So we can relate to that navel chakra, the fire element, the Tejas Tattva, as it is called in Sanskrit, is related to transformational intensity of the heat. So there's a certain driving momentum, a certain shift of energies, a burning, a certain passionate drive, which doesn't allow really for things to get stagnant. There's this passionate intensity related to the fire element and to this charge of the heat in the abdomen. It comes in dynamic practices, which, yes, on one hand, charge the abdominal muscles, some boat pose, Navasana, where you feel this burning heat, not only in the thighs, but also in the abdominal area, due to the strong workout of the abdominal muscles, rectus abdominis, mainly the straight one. But it's not just about the muscles, but generally dynamic practices which are challenging us, which require that intensity of our commitment. So even some forms of the cardiovascular type of intensity, as they come, for example, from sun salutations, they build the inner fire. They build the digestive fire, helps us not only to burn calories, but also to burn stagnant energies. The direction of the fire is to come upward. So we bring that heavy, stagnant, depressed, confused energy from Svadhisthana and even below Muladhara chakra. We bring it upward with the intensity of the fire element. The flames are flaring up and they uplift, they elevate the energy. They help us in this process of sublimation, of rising the energies from the lower to the higher chakras, removing the stagnation and pulling ourselves on our own neck out of the depression. So these some hands-on pragmatic tools, actual techniques which you can apply, as mentioned, in these times when you feel good, and you develop them as a beneficial habit, and then you apply them as you feel some depression arriving, you practice those techniques, and this mechanical practice can support your energetic charges and indirectly also influence your psychological and emotional well-being. Don't underestimate how much this magic of yoga works in the background. Yet, what we also need to incorporate in this uplifting rising of the energy is the power of the mind. So you even actively pull the energy with your intentions upward. You can help yourself with Mula Bandha, the root lock, pelvic floor contractions, if that is in your practice, and pump the energy up and use your mind to suck it up along the spine and bring it, for example, to the third eye. And with that clarity, that sharpness and lucidity of the mental command center, you then kind of straight, like a laser beam, cut through this confusion and heaviness, darkness of the depression. You simply clearly see through the mess. You don't allow to get lost in it, and you just hold your stable ground with a focused mind, and you just non-compromising attitude. You just stay clear, fixed, focus, firm in your intention, in your attention, to not allow any of this darkness and shadow to creep up and take you down. No, you just stand your ground. So the power of the mind. Will. With your will, you pull the energy upward. Good. There's a variety of many other techniques also related to meditation practices, intention, attention, energy movement, so many other techniques also related to yoga, indirectly related to yoga, others like positive affirmations as they are cultivated more in the modern context, mantras from the classical Indian perspective. Many things can be done to cultivate clarity and lightness and help yourself out of the heaviness and darkness of a depressive episode. So remember, catch it right in the beginning. You have your good habits already cultivated and just pull them out of your toolkit. You remember to be grateful for the small things in your life. You cultivate this appreciation and trust. And then you just take responsibility and you actively choose, no, I do not want to go down this alley again. I want to stay in the uplifted light part of the chart. It is also a decision. And yes, there's a strong conditioning from our experience and our enemies and all the things which went wrong and all the trauma and our parents. And yes, but still, you do have a choice. And yes, it wants to be overruled and we want to get lost. No. A non-compromising attitude. Cut it out. Be in charge. You are free to choose. And there is compassion, because I know how heavy and easy it can be to get lost in it. But it is an empowering invitation to stand your clear and stable ground. So be courageous and stand up for the lightness. That is the invitation. Best wishes for your exploration of lucidity, being in charge, practicing yoga, and staying on the bright side of life. Enjoy the journey. Namaste.